Hey, all my foodie friends and family. Welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. I always look forward to seeing you. And especially today because it's our anniversary. Yay! This is the 52nd episode, which means it's 1 year today that we started doing this. We're going to do a recipe called Cabbage Rolls in English, Halubci, Ukrainian or Polish, Sarmale in Romanian. My father was born in Romania to German parents, so we've got a whole mixture of recipes here. But we're going to start with adding 250 grams of pancetta into a pan. You could certainly use bacon. I just find pancetta a little bit less salty and has a lot more flavor than just regular bacon. But whatever you prefer, you don't have to add bacon at all. You can use soy crumbles. You don't have to use any meat at all. This is great, vegetarian, but you might want to change some things up, and instead of using regular rice, you might want to use buckwheat so that you get some more protein and no gluten and that kind of stuff. I've also added 1 cup of diced celery, onion, and carrots. I bought this in the store ready-made because this recipe is kind of involved and I didn't want to spend any time chopping vegetables. But if you like doing that, certainly do you. So I'm just simmering everything to get them a little bit softened and to start bringing the flavors out. To that mixture, I'm going to add 1 pound of lean ground pork. Now you could change this and use chicken, turkey, beef, whatever you like. However, traditionally this was always pork. You could certainly change it and use soy crumbles. The flavor would be a little different because it's not as porky. But you do whatever you prefer. This was the standard in all the different European recipes I found for cabbage rolls. It was always pork or bacon or both. I'm adding some pepper to season. Note I'm not adding any salt at this time because of the bacon or the pancetta might be too salty. So you don't want to make it too crazy here. You can always adjust the seasoning later. And you can see I'm just knocking everything around. The pan is flying, the camera stand is flying up and down. I don't know what was with me that day, but here we are. I threw in a dash of Maggi, because as you know, my mother would have made this, or was made in Europe, so Maggi or Vegeta seasoning, something like that would have been added in all those different European countries that make this. This is available all over Europe, all different names, all different variations, some more meat, some more rice. It just depends what country. I'm adding a cup of short grain rice here. You could also use long grain. I wouldn't use basmati because basmati doesn't stick together. And for cabbage rolls, you want the filling to kind of stick together so it makes a beautiful roll. Also adding a cup of beef stock. The goal here is to just par-cook the rice. We don't want it cooked all the way through because we want it to cook in the oven in a roasting pan. So it'll finish cooking there. So I'm just going to simmer this until the rice absorbs whatever liquid there is. And there you are. Remember here that the rice is not fully cooked yet. So I wouldn't take a bite of this just yet because it'd be crunchy. Put it in a dish and stick it in the fridge overnight. And then you can start the next day all over again. This is kind of a 2-part recipe. I would do it in 2 days. It tastes better, and it gives you a chance to also steam the cabbage leaves that you're going to need for this recipe. I've added a cup of chopped spinach. This is absolutely optional. It's not traditional by any means, but I find it as a good addition to this recipe to keep the greens up and the veggies full. And I'm also adding, again, my option, a cup of shredded cheese. This helps with the flavor and the creaminess of the filling inside the cabbage roll. You could certainly omit it if you like. It's, again, not a traditional addition. So we're going to stir that together, and then we're going to add 3 eggs. The number of eggs that you use really depends on the amount of filling that you're making. I usually go by 2 eggs per pound of meat. Since this is a pound of meat plus a bunch of veggies and spinach and cheese, I've added 1 more egg to make it 3. And we're just going to mix that together just enough so that everything is kind of sticking together. And using a really big spoon in a bowl like this isn't very efficient. So you'll see me in a second getting rid of the spoon. And guess what I'm going to use? Good old fat hands. Get a glove on and get your hand in there and work it up. My mother would never have used a glove, but hey, you got clean hands, do it with your hand. Whatever works for you. This is starting to look really good. I made this a while ago, and I'm starting to remember how it tasted, and I miss it. This is one of these dishes that you don't make every day. It's going to be something that you do on special occasions like a birthday. We had it at Christmas and New Year's, and today we're doing it because it's our 1st anniversary. So we want something special to have for dinner tonight. I'm having some trouble turning the camera off with my left hand because my right hand is all goopy with filling and a plastic glove. But I give in and eventually hit the button with the goop on the finger. So there you have the cabbage rolls. I've done most of them up, but in each leaf that you've steamed off of a head of cabbage, I'm putting about a half a cup of filling. You need to judge depending on how big the leaf is. Sometimes they're really big. You might want to cut them in half or make really big ones. I've seen really tiny ones, and I've seen huge ones, depending on what country they're made in. So you do you. Once they're all rolled up, we're going to start putting them in a beautiful roasting pan. This is one that your grandma or Nona or Oma had. One that she always made a roast chicken in, or a nice pot roast. You know what I'm talking about, this ceramic oval roasting dish. In the bottom of the roaster, I've lined it with the outside leaves of the cabbage, the ones that you wouldn't use for necessarily for rolling up cabbage rolls because they're too green and they taste kind of bitter sometimes. But for roasting in a pan at the bottom is good. I rolled up all those cabbage rolls and I had some leftover filling, so I did this in kind of a... I made 2 dishes out of one. Sometimes if you don't have cabbage, you can do what's called lazy cabbage rolls and just put them in put the filling in a roasting pan like this and cook it the same way without the cabbage. It's delicious too. But here I've put the lazy cabbage rolls at the bottom, and I've put the rolled cabbage rolls at the top of the dish, so that we'll have the best of both worlds when it's done. Just when you think you've eaten them all, you have another dinner underneath. Just make up some mashed potatoes if you want. It goes great together with these cabbage rolls. Or like my dad always said, Sarmale was his favorite thing. I guess that was his influence from being born in... where did I say he was born? Romania. There we go. I was going to say Transylvania, but that's close. It's there. So we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven. It's going to take a couple hours. But first we're going to add some tomato juice. I've got a big can of tomato juice here. I'm going to use about 2 or 3 cups to start. I don't want to flood it all because it might get too mushy, so you need to judge this. So you stick it in the oven, and then after the first hour, you'll need to check again and add some more tomato juice. And there they are finished. Don't they look good? Oh my God. With some mashed potatoes and some of the tomato sauce drizzled over top. It is so good, you must try it. If you like the recipe, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. I just love to have more foodies here. Thanks for stopping by on this special anniversary for more food that warms your soul and mine too. See you next time.